Leg weakness rarely announces itself dramatically. It begins as a subtle change, a slower rise from a chair, a hesitation before climbing stairs, a shorter stride that feels almost unnoticeable. This quiet decline is not random. The legs are the largest concentration of skeletal muscle in the human body, and they play a central role in metabolism, circulation, and movement. Because they carry such a heavy share of daily workload, they're often the first to reveal when the body's systems begin to underperform. From a biological standpoint, leg muscles act as engines for the entire body. They consume and regulate glucose, assist in maintaining healthy blood sugar levels, and influence how efficiently energy is used. When these muscles are active, they draw sugar out of the bloodstream and reduce metabolic strain. When they weaken, this regulatory function diminishes, allowing metabolic imbalance to develop quietly. This is why reduced leg strength is often associated with broader health issues, even before symptoms become obvious elsewhere. The nervous system is deeply involved in this process. Movement in the legs requires constant communication between the brain, spinal cord, and peripheral nerves. Each step reinforces these neural pathways. When movement decreases, the nervous system adapts by reducing signal strength, making muscles less responsive over time. This feedback loop accelerates weakness. The body is not failing, it is conserving resources in response to reduced demand. Unfortunately, this conservation gradually becomes limitation. Circulation also depends heavily on leg strength. Every contraction of the leg muscles helps push blood back toward the heart, supporting venous return and reducing cardiovascular strain. When leg muscles weaken, circulation becomes less efficient, especially during movement. This can contribute to fatigue, swelling, and reduced endurance, further discouraging activity and deepening the cycle of decline. Balance and stability are closely tied to leg strength as well. The legs provide constant micro-adjustments that keep the body upright. As strength fades, these adjustments become less precise, increasing the risk of imbalance and falls. The body senses this instability and responds with caution, shortening steps and reducing movement range. While protective in the short term, this adaptation reinforces weakness over time. What makes leg weakness such an early warning sign is its visibility across multiple systems. It reflects metabolic health, neural communication, cardiovascular support, and musculoskeletal integrity all at once. Unlike isolated symptoms, changes in leg strength reveal how the body is functioning as an integrated whole. When the legs begin to weaken, they are not merely losing power, they are signaling that the body's demand for movement has diminished, and with it, the signals that maintain strength, resilience, and adaptability across the entire system. Strong legs are not simply a matter of muscle mass. They represent an ongoing conversation between the muscles, the nerves that activate them, and the brain that coordinates movement. Every intentional step, shift of weight, or controlled rise from a seated position requires precise timing and communication across these systems. When strength is maintained, it signals that this communication remains clear, efficient, and responsive. When it declines, the conversation becomes quieter, slower, and less reliable. The brain relies on sensory feedback from the legs to understand where the body is in space. Muscles, joints, and tendons send constant information upward through sensory nerves, allowing the brain to adjust posture and balance in real time. Strong, active legs provide rich and accurate feedback, helping the brain refine movement and maintain stability. As strength fades, this feedback weakens, and the brain compensates by simplifying movement, reducing speed, and increasing caution. While this adaptation helps prevent immediate injury, it limits complexity and responsiveness over time. Neural pathways thrive on use. The nervous system strengthens connections that are repeatedly activated and allows unused ones to fade. When leg muscles are regularly engaged, motor neurons remain responsive and coordination stays sharp. Reduced use leads to slower nerve signaling and diminished precision, which further discourages movement. This cycle can quietly erode mobility, not because the body is incapable, but because it has adapted to lower demand. Balance depends on this muscle-nerve-brain loop. Maintaining an upright posture requires constant micro-adjustments, most of which occur unconsciously through the legs. Strong legs respond quickly to subtle shifts in weight, preventing instability before it becomes noticeable. Weak legs respond more slowly, forcing the brain to rely on conscious control, which is less efficient and more tiring. Over time, this increases the risk of imbalance and falls, reinforcing fear and further reducing activity. Leg strength also influences cognitive engagement. Movement stimulates brain regions involved in planning, attention, and spatial awareness. Active legs send signals that enhance blood flow and oxygen delivery to the brain, supporting mental clarity and reaction time. This bidirectional relationship means that maintaining leg strength benefits not only physical stability, but also cognitive function. When this communication network remains intact, the body moves with confidence rather than caution. Gait becomes smoother, posture improves, and energy is conserved through efficient motion. The brain trusts the body, and the body responds with reliability. This trust reduces unnecessary tension and allows movement to remain fluid and adaptable. Preserving leg strength, therefore, preserves more than physical capability. It sustains the integrity of the entire movement system, keeping muscles responsive, nerves engaged, and the brain actively involved in guiding the body through space. In this way, strong legs support a state of coordinated aging, where systems age together rather than fragmenting, allowing mobility, balance, and independence to remain part of daily life as time continues to unfold.
Targeted leg exercises influence far more than strength alone. They initiate a cascade of physiological changes that affect nearly every system in the body. The large muscles of the legs act as powerful pumps for circulation. Each contraction compresses veins and assists blood in returning to the heart, reducing the workload on the cardiovascular system. When these muscles are regularly activated, circulation becomes more efficient, delivering oxygen and nutrients more effectively while clearing metabolic waste that contributes to inflammation and fatigue. Blood sugar regulation is closely tied to leg activity. Leg muscles are among the most insulin-sensitive tissues in the body. When they contract, they absorb glucose from the bloodstream independently of insulin, lowering blood sugar levels and reducing strain on the pancreas. Regular leg exercises improve this process, helping maintain stable energy levels and reducing the risk of metabolic dysfunction. Even gentle, consistent movements can produce meaningful improvements in glucose control, particularly as the body ages and insulin sensitivity naturally declines. Inflammation, often considered an inevitable part of aging, is deeply influenced by physical activity. Inactive muscle tissue releases fewer anti-inflammatory signals, allowing low-grade inflammation to persist and damage cells over time. Targeted leg exercises stimulate the release of beneficial molecules that counteract inflammation, supporting immune function and tissue repair. This reduction in inflammatory burden contributes to healthier joints, improved cardiovascular function, and enhanced recovery from daily stressors. Circulation and metabolism work together to support organ health. Improved blood flow from active leg muscles benefits not only the heart, but also the brain, kidneys, and digestive system. Better circulation means more consistent oxygen delivery and waste removal, creating an internal environment that supports cellular efficiency. This systemic benefit explains why strengthening the legs often leads to improved endurance and vitality throughout the body, not just in the lower limbs. Leg exercises also influence lymphatic flow, which plays a crucial role in immune surveillance and fluid balance. Unlike the circulatory system, the lymphatic system relies heavily on muscle movement to function. Regular leg activity helps move lymph fluid, reducing swelling and supporting the immune system's ability to detect and respond to threats. This subtle but important effect
further reduces inflammation and supports overall health. The psychological effects of improved circulation and metabolic stability should not be overlooked. As blood flow improves and inflammation decreases, energy levels often rise and mental clarity improves. These changes encourage further movement, creating a positive feedback loop that reinforces healthy behavior. The body responds to consistent, targeted exercise by reallocating resources toward maintenance and repair rather than crisis management. What makes leg exercises particularly powerful is their efficiency. They engage large muscle groups, require minimal equipment, and produce widespread benefits with relatively low impact. Through regular activation, these exercises restore physiological balance, reduce systemic stress, and support long-term resilience. In strengthening the legs, the body strengthens its capacity to circulate, regulate, and renew itself, quietly reshaping health from the ground up through movement that remains both accessible and profoundly influential. Leg strength shapes not only how the body moves, but how the mind interprets movement itself. When the legs feel reliable, the brain relaxes its constant monitoring for danger. Each step becomes an expression of confidence rather than a calculation of risk. This shift is subtle yet profound. Strong legs provide the physical assurance that allows the nervous system to loosen its grip, reducing the background tension that often accumulates with age. Movement becomes smoother, posture more upright, and the body occupies space with greater ease. Fear of falling is one of the most powerful inhibitors of movement, especially later in life. It alters gait, shortens stride length, and increases stiffness, all of which paradoxically raise the risk of instability. Weak legs send uncertain signals to the brain, prompting protective behaviors that limit motion. The body begins to brace rather than flow. Strengthening the legs reverses this pattern by restoring trust. When muscles respond predictably, the brain allows more natural movement patterns to return, reducing the mental load associated with each step. Posture is closely tied to this process. Strong legs support the pelvis and spine, allowing the body to align vertically with less effort. Improved posture reduces strain on joints and muscles, conserving energy and decreasing discomfort. As posture improves, breathing becomes more efficient and balance stabilizes. These changes reinforce one another, creating a loop in which physical alignment supports confidence and confidence encourages better alignment. The psychological impact of reliable legs extends into daily decision-making. When movement feels secure, individuals are more likely to engage with their environment, take walks, perform tasks independently, and maintain social activities. This engagement further strengthens muscles and reinforces neural pathways associated with balance and coordination. Confidence encourages action, and action sustains strength. There is also a feedback loop between emotional state and movement quality. Anxiety tightens muscles and disrupts coordination, while calm allows smoother motion. Strong legs reduce baseline anxiety by signaling physical capability. This effect is not conscious reassurance, but a physiological one. The nervous system interprets muscular readiness as preparedness, lowering the need for hypervigilance. As a result, movement becomes more expressive and less guarded. Gait reflects this transformation clearly. A confident gait is longer, more rhythmic, and more symmetrical. It requires less energy and places less stress on joints. A cautious gait, driven by fear, is rigid and inefficient. Strengthening the legs shifts gait patterns toward efficiency, which in turn preserves energy and reduces fatigue. This makes movement more sustainable and enjoyable. Over time, the relationship between leg strength and confidence reshapes how the body experiences aging. Instead of shrinking movement to avoid risk, the body expands movement within safe boundaries. This expansion supports adaptability, allowing the individual to respond to uneven ground, unexpected obstacles, or sudden changes in direction with greater ease. Confidence becomes embodied, rooted in physical capability rather than thought alone. Through strong legs, the body relearns trust in itself.
This trust quiets fear, refines posture, and restores a natural relationship with movement. The result is not merely stronger muscles, but a more confident presence in the body, where each step reinforces stability, independence, and a sense of control that continues to influence how life is navigated day by day.
Consistency and intention are the forces that turn simple leg exercises into powerful tools for resilience. The body adapts not to intensity alone, but to repetition and clarity of signal. Each time a movement is performed with awareness, the nervous system is reminded of a pattern worth preserving. Dormant muscle fibers receive activation cues, motor neurons refine their connections, and the brain updates its internal map of strength and capability. Over time, these small reinforcements accumulate into meaningful functional change. Muscle tissue is remarkably responsive, even later in life. Contrary to the belief that aging muscles cannot recover, research shows that muscle fibers retain the ability to grow and reorganize when they are regularly challenged. Intentional exercises, such as controlled standing, stepping, or resistance movements, stimulate protein synthesis within muscle cells. This process rebuilds structural integrity, allowing muscles to generate force more efficiently and respond faster to demands. The key is not complexity, but consistency. Neural pathways follow the same principle. Movements performed with attention strengthen the connections between the brain and muscles. When exercises are rushed or distracted, these pathways receive weaker signals. Intention sharpens communication, ensuring that the nervous system remains engaged rather than passive. This engagement supports coordination, reaction time, and balance, reinforcing the entire movement system. Consistency also protects joints and connective tissue. Regular movement distributes load evenly, maintaining lubrication within joints and preserving flexibility. Irregular or sporadic exercise, by contrast, can leave tissues unprepared for sudden strain. When leg exercises become part of a steady routine, tissues adapt gradually, reducing the risk of injury and supporting long-term mobility. The psychological dimension of consistency cannot be separated from the physical. Repeated, intentional movement builds trust in the body. Each completed session reinforces a sense of agency and capability. This trust reduces fear-based avoidance, encouraging further activity and reinforcing positive behavior. The body and mind enter a cooperative cycle where effort is rewarded with stability and confidence. Resilience emerges from this cooperation. A resilient body is not one that never encounters stress, but one that absorbs it without lasting damage. Consistent leg training enhances this capacity by strengthening muscles, sharpening neural control, and supporting circulation. When challenges arise, uneven terrain, fatigue, or unexpected movement demands, the body responds with preparedness rather than panic. Over time, these adaptations influence how aging is experienced. Instead of a gradual narrowing of movement, there is a maintenance of function. Everyday tasks remain manageable and independence is preserved. The legs, once weakened by inactivity, regain their role as reliable supports for the entire body. Intentional practice transforms exercise from a task into a dialogue with the body. Each movement communicates expectation and care, reminding muscles and nerves that they are still needed. Through this dialogue, resilience is rebuilt quietly and steadily, allowing strength to return not as a fleeting improvement, but as a durable foundation that supports balance, confidence, and mobility as life continues forward through changing years. The body rarely announces decline with noise. It begins quietly, almost politely, and more often than not, it starts in the legs. Long before the heart struggles or the lungs complain, the legs begin to weaken, subtly altering how we stand, walk, and rise from the ground. This is not coincidence.
The legs are the foundation of human movement, the largest reservoir of muscle, and one of the most metabolically active regions of the body. When they weaken, it is not just strength that fades, but independence, balance, and confidence. From a biological perspective, leg muscles are deeply tied to survival. They act as engines that regulate blood sugar, support circulation, and communicate constantly with the brain. As we age, muscle fibers shrink unless they are reminded repeatedly that they are still needed. The nervous system becomes more cautious, movement becomes less varied, and unused muscle slowly retreats. Weak legs are not a sign of aging itself, but of reduced conversation between muscle and brain. Science shows that strength is preserved through specificity. The body adapts precisely to what it is asked to do. Simple, intentional movements, standing from a chair, controlled steps, gentle resistance, send powerful signals down nerve pathways, instructing muscle cells to repair, thicken, and reconnect. These signals also travel upward, improving balance, reaction time, and even cognitive clarity. Movement in the legs stabilizes the entire system. Blood flow improves with use. Each contraction acts like a pump, assisting circulation back to the heart and reducing strain on the cardiovascular system. Stronger legs mean more efficient oxygen delivery, better nutrient transport, and reduced inflammation. Even the bones respond, reinforcing themselves where muscles pull with purpose. This is how the body remembers strength. There is also a psychological dimension to leg strength. When legs feel reliable, the mind relaxes. Fear of falling diminishes. Posture improves, and movement becomes expressive again rather than cautious. Confidence alters gait, and gait feeds back into neural stability. The body becomes less defensive and more adaptive. Exercises that target the legs do not need to be extreme to be effective. What matters is consistency, range, and intention. 10 well-chosen movements, repeated with awareness, reawaken dormant muscle fibers and restore communication between systems that quietly drift apart with inactivity. Strength returns not as a sudden surge, but as a steady reclaiming of function. The legs carry the history of a life. They respond to attention with remarkable generosity. When strengthened, they do more than support movement. They support resilience. Through them, the body relearns trust in itself, and aging becomes not a process of loss, but of recalibration, guided by motion, stability, and the quiet intelligence of muscle remembering its purpose. Leg weakness is often the first physical sign of decline because the legs are the body's largest and most metabolically active muscle group. Maintaining leg strength preserves communication between muscles, nerves, and the brain, supporting balance and coordination. Targeted leg exercises improve circulation, blood sugar regulation, and reduce systemic inflammation. Strong legs increase confidence, reduce fear of falling, and positively influence posture and movement patterns. Consistent, intentional leg exercises restore function and resilience by reactivating dormant muscle and neural pathways.